and go live. Let's see. All right. So an array list, I declare them like this. Most of the time what you're going to see is probably something like this, where it's an instance variable. Just makes it a lot easier. Let's see. And then here, I can just do that. And then it is, and then that's visible anywhere in the class or anywhere in your program. You're going to be able to have access to array list. The other thing is filling values. Now you can use the .add and then add values through the add method, or sometimes it'll just say, hey, fill it up with a bunch of random values. And I think in lesson 6.1 or 6.2, it'll have you just fill it up with a bunch of values, and I give you some that you can copy and paste in here. And what you want to do is you want to set it equal to, and then just open up a set of curly brackets, and then you can go 45. Close curly brackets. You can actually do this with, actually you can't, yeah. So you can't actually, this isn't how you do that with arrays. Sorry, I was doing something different. You actually want to just keep this like this. So with an array, right, you can actually copy and paste a bunch of values into an array, and then you can use the as list method to turn that array into an array list. And I wanted to demo that for you because that's one thing that people are a little bit shaky on from the beginning. So if you just create an int array and call it numbers, you can do that here. So the key thing is when I do this, okay, I have to do this here. The reason why, if you'll remember, everything about a standard array is static. So if I'm going to fill it with these values, I have to do it as I'm declaring the array, because otherwise I have to tell it what the size is, right? So declaration and initialization have to be in the same step if I'm going to do it this way. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about, if I try to do this, I try to do it like this. Oh, I used Python. If I try to do that, it's going to give me an error, illegal start of expression. The reason being, I have to do this when I'm declaring, if I'm going to do it that way. Oops. And then I have to make these static. I should probably get rid of that extra semicolon. All right. So that worked out well. Now I want to take these values from my array and put them into my array list. So the way I do that is I can go arrays dot as list, and then that has an actual parameter input, and as the parameter I'm going to put in numbers. And then the other cool thing about array lists is that I don't know why my typing so bad today, is that you can print them directly. They have a method built. The array list object has a method built into it called the toString that allows you to do this. So if you print it directly, list. I gotta go. Oh yeah, so I'm gonna get another error here, and the reason why I'm getting that error, and I want to go because a lot of you guys are gonna run into this one, so make sure you look out for it. The thing about arrays is they only take object inputs. Now there's a difference between an int, the primitive data version of int, and the integer object, right? So array lists will take integer objects. They won't take the int that's primitive data. So the difference being that, so here, and I took you to the Oracle website. There's an actual class called integer built into Java that has a bunch of other methods and stuff. It'll still hold the data of your integers, but it actually has a bunch of other methods and things that you can use that make it a little bit more useful. It's just the data that it holds will be this integer value that you have. Okay. What we have to do then is we have to take these primitive data values and convert them into integer objects. And you'll find out right now that that's super difficult. We just do that. So now as I'm doing integer objects, that will allow me to create a list from numbers and add those values to nums. And like I said, again, we can print our array list directly. So the other place a lot of people are going to get tripped up is in whenever you have to remove something from an array, it affects your index system. So if you're in the middle of a for loop, right? Let's say I have nums, I have the dot remove method, right? And I remove, let's say, what you want to do here is you're going to remove the value at a certain index. So you, as a parameter, you enter the index. So if I wanted to remove that 98, that's at position 2. So I can just say remove 2, and then I can print that again, and we can see that it's gone. So I start here, and then I remove the 98. The thing that you want to remember if you're doing a removal inside of a for loop, right, is that once I remove that 98, everything else shifts to the left. So 98 was at a certain point at position 2, but now in position 2 is the 7, which was previously in position 3. So if you're going in a for loop and you're saying nums remove I, right? When you call I again, there's going to be a different number there because everything shifts to the left. Do you have questions on that? Okay, as far as nuts and bolts kind of things on array lists and any non-static arrays, those are pretty much the big things that people get tripped up on. Everything else is kind of easier than it is with arrays because it's a non-static size and you can remove and add things to it as you go. So again, any other questions or anything, please let me know on array lists. And we'll do